Okay, let's start. See, in this session, so we are going to see that configuration features. The yesterday session, we have seen it, how we can create a SQL database. So yes, this is a continuation of that one. And while we are creating that SQL database, the configuration, how we can select. This is what we are going to see. See here. So when you are creating that our database, once we have created means we can see that pricing tier. The pricing tier, we can see it already. We have seen it, right? So the pricing tier, what we are going to select. So that one will be listed out here. But that pricing tier, how we are going to create it. And what are the services available to choose that pricing tiers. So actually we are having two types of servicing available, the DTU based services and vCore based. DTU based means data transfer per
No,
unit.
we don't.
The data transfer per unit. And vCore means virtual core. vCore means virtual core. See, so you can understand like that one, the simple understanding purpose, just I'm telling you. Analog basis data transmission and digital basis data transaction. So here the DTU, so data transfer per unit, vCore, virtual core unit. So here DTU having three types of services like a basic, standard, premium, and vCore having that general purpose, hyperscale, business critical. Under the hyperscale, under the general purpose, we are having provisioned and serverless type of methods. So what is this? Let's see. See here. So all these things we can choose it when we are creating the database. Okay. So this part we will see that one. So directly into that our portal. First, I'm going to log in into that our portal, but for the Azure portal, you have to create that sandbox server, right? The sandbox server I'm going to create. If you're creating the sandbox server means you don't want to get that actual subscription. So here at Azure portal, I'm going to click. So using that my Azure account, that Microsoft account, just I'm going to log in. Yeah, it's asking authentication. So here, okay. Yes. In the landing page itself, we are having that icon, the SQL database icon. From here itself, we can create that our database, create the SQL database, create the database. And I'm not going to choose this apply offer. We want to understand that configuration. So I'm not going to choose any offer. The resource group we have discussed for the sandbox server, we are having that resource group. So here we are having that resource group, the default one, the learning one, and database name. Simply, I'm going to create the database. See here, you guys, once you logged in, so once you joined in this meeting link, please mute yourself. Okay. Okay. So here, the database I'm going to create in this name. This is what we have discussed already. And if you are going to create that any new database means we have to create that server first. The server, I'm selecting the default location, the East EAS and credentials. Authentication, I'm going to use the SQL authentication. So we have to provide that username password. I'm going to have this admin Siva as my username and password. Then click that OK. Click that OK. So here local is enough for me. Before we have to choose the configuration, right? See here, the default one, the workload, EU environment, by default, it is selected the development and want to use the SQL Elastic Pool. By default, it is selected no. As of now, we can keep that no because we did not learn it. What is the meaning of Elastic Pool and when we have to use it? We did not use it, so we can keep that one no. Workload environment, yes, again, we can keep that development. We are going to use it for the learning purpose only. So this is enough. The development feature what it is, that is enough. But here, the compute and storage. Choose the SQL service tier and performance level that best fits your application needs. So what you need for your business data process. So you have to select that one. You have to select that one. All right. See here. So here, that configuration details you can select by choosing this option. See, once again, I'll show you. So here, so this unsaved one. So server, the SQL server is already created. Somewhat, I did not save. No? Yes, I did not save these features. That's what it is asking again. So here, and username, password, enter it. Dot. Sorry, that's my mistake. So the database. So without saving everything I tried, that's what it is. It's gone everything, demo DB, and my database I did not, server I did not save it anything. So that's SQL server saver and username going to be admin Siva. Local, yes, the configuration, right? So configuration, we have to choose it. The configuration, whatever you are going to choose it. See here, the service tier. By default, it is selected general purpose. If you click this drop-down list, you can see the two types of service details, the vCore based purchasing model, DTU based purchasing model. So data transfer unit basis and vCore basis, virtual core machine. If you are choosing for the easy understanding, just I'm taking this DTU, the basic. If you are choosing that basic configuration, see here, for this configuration, you have to spend 4.9 US dollar, the estimated cost per month. The total data, you can store it in this database, maximum 2 GB of data. 2 GB of data. Total 5 DTU, data transfer unit. Total 5 DTU. So here, total 5 DTU By default, it is selected. One DTU cost, they are charging 0.98 US dollar. 0.98. See that 0.98 into 5, the 4.90 estimated cost you have to pay to the Microsoft. The default DTU, this is the one. So the DTU selection, the simple understanding, again, I'm telling you that approximate values. See here, imagine one DTU, the exact size we have to check it in that our Microsoft site. Just for the understanding, I'm telling you, this is not exact figure, but understanding purpose, I'm telling you, imagine it, one DTU processing 10 KB size data. Imagine like that per second. If it is processing 10 KB size data per second means that one DTU, then n to 5, 50 KB data per second, it can process, right? That is the way the data is going to be processed based on that DTU, what you are going to select it. Here, the by default for the basic 5 DTU, that means per second 50 KB, but this is not exact figure. I'm telling you again, just for the understanding, I'm taking this number. So 1 second, 1 DTU, if it is able to process 10 KB means in the 5 DTU per second, it can process 50 KB. This is the way it is going to be calculated. If you are choosing this standard budget friendly, the DTU by default 10 DTU by default 10 DTU. That means the same figure, we'll take it as example 10 into 10, 100 KB size data per second can process it. If you're choosing 100 means, then 100 into 10, almost 1 MB of data can process per second. This is the way it is going to be calculated. But whenever you are increasing this DTU count, the cost also getting increased. Because per DTU, you have to pay $1.47 means, then 100. You have to multiply it. Because performance getting increased. If the performance getting increased, it means your machine, what you're going to use it in virtually, that machine configuration getting increased. You know that one, if you're getting that high configure machine, the laptop, you have to pay more money, right? Yes, the same way. Here, that machine, you are creating that SQL Server database means in the behind, it is creating that one virtual machine for you. That machine configuration, what you want to use it, that is the one we are selecting here. The premium, then it will be high cost because by default it is taking 125 unit DTU. This will be more speed. And we are having that some internal memory and backup also available, redundant backup also available. So you are having more features. Same way if you are choosing virtual machine, virtual based general purpose means we are having two options, compute tier provisioned and serverless. This is a virtual means. This is like an analog process. So this is like a digital process. It will be something high speed when compared with the DTU. Imagine DTU like analog process. So here the computer option by default is serverless selected. What is the meaning of provisioned and what is the meaning of serverless? See here, when I'm selecting provisioned, the amount is showing something different. When I'm choosing the serverless, it is showing something different. See, when we are choosing the provisioned, it's something like a fixed amount, hourly basis. Just again, an example, I'm telling you, if you want to pay 1 vCore 184 means, just imagine 1 hour. If you want to spend the money, $184 means within that 1 hour, whatever you are going to process, suppose if you processed only 10 MB of data, 10 MB of data, the data size I'm telling very small size. The size is not matter here. You have to spend the money 184. Just example again, I'm telling you, just you have to spend that money 184. Whether you are processing that huge amount of data or small amount of data, it is not a problem. That amount, what you choose per hour, that amount you have to spend it. Compute resources are pre-allocated. Build per hour based on that vCore configured. Hourly basis, it will be calculated. Within that hour, whether you have processed data or not, it is not the problem. But how long you keep that server, you have to pay the money for it. But serverless, compute resources are auto-scaled, build per second based on the vCore used. vCore used, here vCore configured. See, here, if you are using that vCore machine for processing 10 KB, then it will take that very lowest amount. It will take that very lowest amount. At the same time, if you are using that vCore machine to run that 5 minutes, imagine you are having huge amount of data, millions of records you are having. It is taking 5 minutes. Based on that running time, it will be calculated how much amount of data and how long it was used. Based on that usages, the amount will be calculated. So mostly in the real time, when we are doing the development, so development time, we will go with the general purpose only. Most budget friendly. And hardware, that machine, so vCore machine, 80 vCores, 80 partitions will be there. Maximum storage, 240 GB data, we can store that one. That minimum vCore machine, vCores, that partitions, the parallel processing, it's processor, right? So how many number of parallel processors you want to use it, that one you can decide it for your machine. But up to 80 vCores available. But for what number of vCore machines, maximum and minimum, you want to use it for your project, you have to select here. Yes. The hyperscale. So, and then business critical. In the vCore, if you are choosing the business critical means, mostly we will use it for the production environment because it's a high cost. As well as the production environment, it should be in that high performance, right? The high performance. So here we have to choose based on that our requirement, which environment we are going to use it. Either the general environment, the development environment, or with the, what is that one? Production environment. Based on that one, you have to choose this one. Yes. This is the configuration we are going to choose it. But this is not going to be that your responsibility. So everything it will take care by that your infra team. That team, the DevOps team, they will take care of it. So most of the projects, they will take care of it, maximum. That infra team will take care of it. Okay. So yes, for us, that one we can take it as it is, the default one, what it was selected, the general purpose one, and review plus create. The networking option, as of now, I'm not going to select anything since there's connectivity method selected, no access. That is the reason we are not able to log in after creating, right? So here itself, you can select if you need, but we don't want to do it. After creating that, our database, we can choose that by setting the firewall setting. So the database, so it is creating now, submitting deployment, right? So the deployment is in progress. The deployment is in progress. Once this deployment is done means we can create that our all the record tables, and then we can use it as this our target environment. From the source, different sources, you may get the data. The data, you may load it here using that your data factory. Okay, fine. Along with this one, we are going to see how we are going to access this database from your local machine. Actually, this database is a cloud service, right? It's available in the cloud environment. The cloud environment, actually, if you want to write that any script means, already we have seen it, that query editor window, we have seen it, the preview one, we have seen it. In that way, in that place only, we have written that our query actually for creating the table. We have written the query for inserting the records, for selecting the records from the table. We have written that one. Everything we have written it, right? So here, that query editor window, what we were used. Usually that query editor window, we will not use it while we are working in the real time if you are keep on working in the database related concepts. Because that environment is not user friendly, that query editor window is not user friendly, because that size, the query editor, what you have seen, that size, it's not extendable. It's a fixed one. So every big query, we have to scroll down. Okay, it is not user friendly. That big query, if you're writing, means keep on scrolling again and again. And also we are having lacking to do that networking admin related setups. So in the real time, if you're working in the Azure SQL database means, usually we will use that, the external tool. The external tool, if you are working already in the SQL Server on-premises means you should know that one, SQL Server Management Studio. SQL Server Management Studio. You have to use that type of SQL Server Management Studio tool as your UI to access this cloud database from the on-premises. That means from your local machine. Are we able to access? Yes, we can access because the SQL Server Management Studio and this Azure, both are Microsoft products. So they are having the feature to connect with our Azure SQL database from the SQL Server Management. I'll show you how to connect. Now the database is created. The database is created. So once you created means you have to do the firewall setting. Select the networks. Yes. Take this. So we have to do this and allow Azure service. These two setup, the settings you have to do it. Then save it. Then you can open this your database. First, we are in this all these setups. We can do it in this our network level and that server level. We are in the server. Okay. Once this setup is done, so here, successfully updated server firewall rules. Come to this database. So from here, the query editor window, you can select it. See here. Yes, you have to log in. Yes, you can create the table from here. Create table, table name and ID. See here, varchar. So here, location. If you want to run it means you can click this run button, or else from the keyboard you can click shift enter. Shift enter. See, the table should be created here. Yes. I will insert into that table the values of that values record, right? For the next record, the same line itself, you can add it by putting the comma. Second record should be given within the parentheses, the brackets. So here, the second one, right? And comma, the third one. See, the all string value should be given within that quote. Yeah. Control shift, sorry, shift enter. Shift enter, it will execute. Select, start from next. Yeah. See, this tool, if I want to access from my local machine, that using the tool SQL Server Management Studio, open it. The SQL Server Management Studio, you can download it and install it. It's a free only. The Google, right? So here, SQL Server Management Studio, download it. So from this Microsoft download page, you can download it. The recent version, it will be available. So if you want to download that any specific version now, so you can go the detailed page and then you can download it. The download SQL Server Management Studio 20.2. You can download it and then you can install it. So normal one. So the normal basic software, whatever you're installing, the same way you can install, download it, and then you can install it. See here, the server name place. You have to mention that your server details, the server information, you can get it from here. See here, the server name. In the demo DB overview page, you can see the server name details. So the server name, the pricing tier, and that your location and the activation status and your subscription, everything you can see it here. Subscription ID, everything you can see it here. See that server details you have to provide here. And authentication, we were selected that SQL authentication option. When we are creating that our database, we were selected, right? The database server, right? So that login details, username and password you have to provide. Keep on using the same name. That's the reason it is showing the default name. That's the login name. And click the login. Click the connect. See here, the SQL Server SIBA, the database. Under the database, you can see that our database. What is it? Our database. Our database is the DemoDB. And under the tables, see here, this one, the customer, dbo.customer. The dbo.customer, yes. If you open the new query window, you can click this new query option. The query editor will be opened. See here, from here, you can select your table. Select star from the table. See, in this drop-down list should be selected your database. In the real time, you may have that multiple databases. So you have to select that your database, what you're working, and you have to write the query. Then from the table, from the database table, if it is available in the database means it will select the data if you're running this query. For running the query, you have to click this execute. You have to click this execute. Or else in the keyboard, you can click F5 button, F5 button, the function key button, F5. You have to click. Yes, I'm getting the data. I'm getting the data, right? This is one of the tool we are using to access that our database during that your interview time. So they may ask, so which tool you're using to access that your SQL database, Azure SQL database? Because the real time who working, those people only know that one, what tool they are using. If you are a learner, if you're learning yourself means you will not understand that one in the real time what tool they are using, right? To find out whether you guys are having that real-time environment experience or just you learned. These type of basic questions they will ask. What type of tool you're using to connect to that your Azure SQL database. You can say this SQL Server Management Studio. One more tool is there, the Azure Cloud. So here, Azure, the Data Studio is one of the tool which we can use it to connect with that our Azure platform. This is also Microsoft product. Okay, small size of software. It will not take that much time to install and it will be high speed performance. So from here, the Azure you have to download. So mostly we are using the Windows 64. This is the one we are using. So you have to download it. You have to download it. Once you download it, the normal installation method, you can click the double click and it will ask the steps. Just click that. Yes, next. Once you install it means, so it will be available in your local machine. So like this, Azure Data Studio. Azure Data Studio. This is one of the another tool which we can use it to connect to that our Azure SQL database. But this is having more features, not only the SQL database. If you want to connect with that Azure Databricks notebook, if you want to connect with that, so Azure services, so this will be helpful. SQL Server Management Studio, usually we will use it to connect with that database only. But here we are having the feature to connect with that notebooks, some database project. Okay, so some Explorer and different sources. Okay, so that your Git configuration sources. If you want to connect with that your Git, you can connect from here, right? So, but we are going to use it. See, like this different sources, you can get it from here itself. You can install it and then you can use it. So we are going to connect with that our database. What is our database? I'm going to add that new database. I'm going to add that new database and that server name details and authentication, the SQL login. We were selected that SQL authentication. Then you have to provide that username and password. Username and password. Click the connect. If that information, whatever you have provided is that valid information means it will be connected. See here, the DemoDB database. The DemoDB database.
Shiva, one question here.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, you are using the parameters, right? The connection string is everything we should pass the username and password in the string so that it will take. Because when are you logging, you select the option as parameters. So there is another option is there is connection string.
So here we don't want to use that connection string. Okay, so the connection string, if you're going to use it means, so you have to provide as a single string statements. So along with that, your server details and then your username and then your password, everything you have to provide it here.
Okay.
So you have to go with that parameter. Okay, this is the better way. Okay, fine. And our server is connected. If you want to open that query window means you can click this new query and here you have to select that your database. Then you have to write that your query whatever you want. Select star from our table name. You can click this button to run it or else you can click this F5 button again. It will run it. These two tools you can use it. So Azure Data Studio and SQL Server Management Studio. So that people already, if you are working, if you're having experience to work in this SQL Server Management Studio in that on-premises environment means those people usually they'll give the preference to use SQL Server Management Studio maximum. We will do that analysis only. So for the analysis purpose, so we will use the SQL Server Management Studio. So you can tell you are using that SQL Server Management Studio, right? So here, either this tool or this tool, you can use it to connect to that your SQL database. The Azure SQL database, the configuration, everything, you can choose it. So like this way, the connect and execute to the queries on SQL database. Now we have created our SQL database, and now let's see how to access the database, how to fire queries, and how to create the tables and views on all stuffs in our SQL database. This is what we have seen it, right? So either using this query editor window or the SQL Server, simple query if you're going to write it, simply you want to check it, the table is available or not by writing the query. Simply that one, you can go with that query editor window. But it's available only in that our production environment purpose only. It will not be available in the production, in dev environment purpose only. It will not be available for the production. It's a preview only, right? So it will be available here. But if you want to log in into that our SQL database through that your query editor window means you have to log in using that your credentials, what you have given when we were creating that our server. The external tool, yes, we can use that our SQL Server, SQL Server Management Studio. Or else we can use that our Azure Data Studio. But from the external, if you are going to log in means the firewall setting should be enabled whatever we have done it. See here, go to the firewall setting. I will make this delete, save it again. Come back, disconnect. I'll try to connect. Okay, now it should be saved. I think yes. I'll try to log in. Usually you should not allow. See here, they cannot open the server SQL Server Siva requested by the login. The client with IP address, our local IP, is not allowed to access the server. To enable the access, use the Azure Management Portal or run SP set firewall rule master, something you have to do it, the firewall setting, right? That firewall setting we are doing through that UI by adding that our IP here. This is that our IP, the local IP, the local connection, what I'm using. This is the local IP. So you have to add it. Then you have to save it. So you are allowing this IP address to access this database. Then only I'm able to access from my local. Yes. Right? So in the real time, sometimes your IP may get changed frequently since you are going to use that. So dynamic VPN, something if you're using means that IP may get dynamically changes. That time, suppose if you're not able to log in into that your database means first thing you have to come to this firewall setting. You have to try to add that your IP, then you have to try. Even after adding that IP, if you're not able to connect with that your database means then you have to connect with that your admin team. Then admin team, so they will help on that one. Right? So this is the way we have to connect with that our databases from that our on-premises or through that our query editor window and configuration selection, everything. Okay. Yes, we have mentioned here all these things. We have seen it, everything. So database connectivity, everything we have seen it. Okay. So what is this elastic pool? When and why we have to use these things? This is a very valuable value added concept and cost saving concept. Okay. So what is this one? When we are going to use it, how we are going to use all these things, we will discuss in that our next session. Okay, so that's all for the day. We'll connect again in the next session on Monday. So, bye.